So, how are you doing these days?
I'm doing well. I'm working on a lot of different projects, but I'm kind of satisfied.
It's good to hear. And what are those new projects?
At the moment, I'm working on several film screenplays in Norway and in Sweden, and also on a television series together with some friends that I wrote another television series together with. So to cooperate with good people, that's very good, satisfying.
And will there be a movie on Doppler?
There has been a lot of suggestions about it. People wanting to make movies, and I'm not very. I'm very reluctant to say yes to that because movies are often bad, and a bad movie will always be bad. So that's not a good proposition. But I have, in the last couple of years, written a screenplay about based on the first Doppler novel, together with a friend of mine that is a film producer, and we are looking for the right people, the right directors, the right actors, etc. So we are kind of searching for how it could be done.
And do you have anyone who could play Doppler?
Yeah, that depends on how we do it and where we do it. But yes, we have some actors in mind. But yeah, it's the early stage, so I don't know. And it's also not necessary for me to see it become a movie, because I don't think every book that works needs to become a movie. But if it will become a movie, I will make sure that I have some kind of control. Yeah.
I like to call Doppler novels a man's midlife crisis trilogy. Sorry, but it came as a surprise that you made it into a trilogy. Why did you decide that?
It was a bit of a surprise for me as well, because I didn't really plan it. It's 10 or 11 years between the second one and the third one, and I was doing just a lot of other stuff and projects and films and novels and everything. And I tried to write some kind of youth novel. I thought I had a great idea, and I thought I was going to make some kind of international bestseller for young people. And then I worked on it for a year or something, and I understood suddenly that I'm not capable of doing this, and I don't know how to do it, and it doesn't work, and it made me... I didn't like it, didn't like that feeling. And then I needed to write something that I was capable of writing, and suddenly, just from one day to the next, I was launching myself into another Doppler story and the continuation of this story. And I discovered this is really fun, and I want to be here. I like this place, and this is something I can do. And I had been, in the back of my mind, planning to revisit Doppler somehow, but I didn't know exactly what he had done in the meantime, where should I pick him up, etc. So when I started, it was an idea that was originally from another idea, that because my house in Oslo there is a big tree like 10 meters away from the house, and I have been thinking sometimes, if I climb that tree, my family will not be able to see me. I can sit up there, I can spy on them. Maybe they will think I'm dead because I'm gone, and they can't see me. So that's a very fascinating, opportunity, and but I'm not that kind of person. I will probably never climb a tree and just sit there for for weeks and months. But when I combined that idea with the Doppler homecoming idea, then it felt like the idea was just for free. It was up for grabs, and I could just improvise on that. So when I started doing that, it was so fun and easy, and that's how I started the book. Yeah.
Okay. And what are the responses, or do you even care about responses?
Of course I care, because like everyone else, I like to be appreciated and I like my ideas to be appreciated, and I become disappointed and even a bit angry when they are not, and if I feel misunderstood or if I feel that I'm treated unfairly. So I care, absolutely, but I don't read the critics. I don't read them with a sense of them being the truth or anything. It's I just need this feeling of being recognized, like most people do. So I read them when the day they come out, and then I forget about them. So I'm not someone that goes on for a long time with bearing, grudges for certain critics or whatever. So I quickly forget about it.
Have you ever met your Hungarian translator?
I think I have, but that's a long time ago, and I don't have any close relationship to him.
Okay, because he's just done a very, very great job, I think.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy to hear that. That's something I don't control at all. Of course, there's a certain number of languages that I can master to a certain extent, and I can read and I can see what's being done. But the majority of languages, I cannot do that at all. And I get all kinds of feedback from readers. Someone in some countries, they say this translator has really not understood it, and it's embarrassing. And in others, apparently here, it's been good. So that's always a big relief.
From Doppler novels, it seems that you think the world is a crazy place and people let madness reign over them. And I can't argue with you. But do you see any chance for mankind? I mean, something that people could do to make this place better?
I think I'm a mix of optimistic and pessimistic, as most people probably are. On the individual level, when I get to know people, I see a lot of comforting traits, of how man are, how we are, what we are able to do to each other and listen to each other. And so most people, when you get to know them, there is hope, I think. But when you look at it from a distance and see the sum of everything that we are doing and have been doing to each other, for thousands of years, and that we are currently doing to the planet and the environment, etc., it's not a big cause of optimism for me. I feel kind of resigned about it. It's so much to deal with that I become, I don't even know where to start. So I kind of take a step back, and I become a little bit nihilistic and like, fuck it, I can't do anything anyway. So let's just sit here and enjoy the show in a way. So I'm always struggling with these two positions. Should I just be laughing about this and join the end day party, or what can I do? That's very difficult. I don't have any good solution to that. In my own life, that's kind of a parody, because I was against my will. I was elected as a politician into the Oslo, municipality last year. Not as a direct representative, but as a what do you call that? I meet when the real politician is unable to, for a Green Party, and I support them. I'm not a member, but I support them, and so now I'm suddenly some kind of officially elected representative for the global green economy and change, etc. And I don't know so much about it, so I really should never have been there. And it was just because my name is known, so it was to fill the list, on the really bottom of the list. And then people have put a cross by my name, so I went up the list. So, and all the time I'm feeling okay. I'm bicycling every day, all year. If it's 10-15 degrees below zero and a lot of snow, I'm still bicycling. So that's on the plus side. But yesterday I flew here in an airplane. I fly quite a lot of places with my work, with my books, etc. So it's some kind of a mathematical struggle to get this into a balance, even on the personal level. So I don't even know where to start.
Okay, it just a bit reminds me of your first Doppler novel, when he didn't want to be a leader or something, but then he became.
Yes, that was the original idea in the first Doppler novel, and it's also why it's called Doppler, because I'm not a scientist, but I've read about the Doppler effect. That's some kind. It's about waves. It's about how waves are perceived. Are they moving towards you, or are they moving away from you? And then you perceive it differently. For instance, sound. If the source of the sound passes you, it changes in the frequency, and you can hear that, an ambulance or whatever. And that's the Doppler effect. And I wanted to create another Doppler effect. So Doppler moves into the forest, and people follow him. And at the end, I wanted it to be thousands of people in the forest. So that was the Doppler effect. And then I went away from that idea, and I only let a few people follow him. And I thought, I like the name so much, I won't take it away. So now it's there, and it has no real meaning, because the intended Doppler effect didn't happen. But that's how the thinking went at the time. Yeah.
You mentioned in previous interviews that Doppler is not you, but I wonder, what would you say to him or ask him about if you'd meet him? I myself, I'm a thinker and a theoretical person. I'm not so much of a doer, like not practically. I get a lot done in my work life, but as an individual, I'm much more cowardly than Doppler. So I kind of admire his guts to do that, to leave the family and to just don't care and move into the forest and let his wife be angry. Especially that, to just let people be angry and don't care. I can't do that, so I admire that a lot. I would ask him, how do you do that? I would have to learn that. Okay, excuse me, but I have to ask you now that what do your wife and your kids think about Doppler?
I don't think my kids even know. that he exists. I don't think even my oldest son, that's 16 now, have read Doppler. I don't think so. My wife, of course. I think we haven't really talked a lot about it, but when she read it the first time, I think she said something about she liked the idea, or she respected that I had made this story with so many similarities to our life, and without her having to feel that it was about us. So that was a relief, of course, and I don't think she has mentioned it ever since. And my children, I have never wanted to be a writer for my children. So I had, even if I've written children's books, I never read them for my children. And my oldest one, when he started school, after some years, they were reading one of my books at school, and he came home. Did you write this? How come you've never said it? He was very disappointed, of course. But I don't want to be a writer for them. I'm just their father, so it would feel very awkward to read my own books for my children and, oh, look at your father, he's such a, big writer and everything. No, I don't want to do that. So they will have to discover it in their own time if they have to. They don't even have to from me. I mean, they can do. There's so many books. Yeah.
So is it the reason why you don't write at home, that you write in an office?
No, that's not the reason, because I don't need to hide that I'm writing. I'm writing all the time, and they know it, and I write around them. I write all the time if I have to. So no, that's not the reason. The reason for writing in an office is mostly that it's very mentally refreshing to leave home if I'm at home, and I've tried that a lot too. And if I'm stagnating in my writing, then I do all kinds of things, I guess everyone that's tried to write, they know this process. You start walking around and you can do other things. You can do the dishes and you can... But at the office, it's only work for me. So and an important part of it is that I'm sharing the office kitchen and the office common space with 7, 8, 9 other writers in Oslo. And some of us have been doing this since 1998, sitting together in different locations and having lunch together, and we can have celebrations or Christmas dinners if we want to, and it creates some kind of illusion that we are having normal jobs, and that's a very nice illusion. I can leave home in the morning and say goodbye, and Daddy is going to the office. This feeling, and at the office I'm doing what any other writer would do, and then I go home again. So it's, for me, it separates my private and my work life in a good way. Yeah.
But you can't blame the boss.
I can't blame the boss, of course, but that's something I've been getting used to for more than about 25 years now. I'm a very disciplined person, as I think very many freelance people are, and writers must be, because the books they don't write themselves. But I still have this energy. I really want to write. I want to succeed with it, and I'm very happy when I have an idea that I like, or when I write a sentence that I like. So I don't need that boss to whip me around because I'm getting the energy still. Yeah.
How about milk?
How about milk? Probably on an evolutionary basis, milk is something that you should drink when you are a child, and then you should stop to drink it. I don't know if grown-up Hungarians drink milk, but a lot of grown-up Norwegians drink milk, and Scandinavians, I think. It's a very common product, and you can have it in different forms, of course, like everywhere, and with more fat or less fat or no fat, etc. So I'm not sure where this comes from, but I've been kind of addicted to milk drinking for a long time. In my early 20s, I went from the high-fat kind to the low-fat kind. Don't know really why, because I've never been concerned about fat. But it kind of feels like water, this low-fat with some kind of white water. Strange, actually, but to drink that together with food, it's just better than so much else. Don't know why. I prefer it even on Christmas Eve, and my family thinks I'm crazy. I'm fond of wine, but not when eating. So I continue to drink milk. Yeah, and I put this into Doppler, of course. Yeah.
You must have done a lot of research for this new Doppler book. I mean, not just about Danish porn, but for example, television channels and their program, and it must have been quite exhausting, I think. But I wonder, what are the best parts when you write a novel and you do your research?
Well, I seldom do research, as I think, real, should I say real writers? I don't know. The writers like crime fiction writers or historical fiction writers, they probably must do tons of research, sitting in libraries and really digging into stuff. My research is mostly from my own life or the lives of those around me. And if I need something special, of course I will look it up. But this television, how should I say it? Some kind of television rant in this book is, of course, based on my own viewing of television. So that's easy. We have a lot of channels, of course, like everywhere, and there is so much shit going on. So you just have to have your eyes open and kind of start to like it for a little while. So I tried that. It's an interesting experiment. And the Danish pornography or the internet, the tits and the asses, etc. That's also very, very easy research. It's so accessible now, and it's everywhere. So I remember starting to laugh a bit when I thought that I wanted him to have some kind of project where he saw every naked, person, female person on the internet. That's quite a goal to set for yourself. It's impressive. Yeah. So I haven't done that, of course. There's still a lot I haven't seen, but I made him do it. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't find anything about your childhood on the internet, maybe because I don't speak Norwegian. But I wonder, could you tell me a bit about your past and why you became a writer?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure why I became a writer, but I grew up in Trondheim. That's Norway's third largest city. It's not large at all. Maybe now today closing 200,000 inhabitants, and when I was growing up it was more like 120 or something. It still felt like a big city for me, and it's situated in a geographical, very nice area. I like it. It's fjords and low mountains, forests, lot of snow in the winter, and very good light. I still miss the light from there because it's lighter than in Oslo. In the summertime, it's not midnight sun, but it never gets dark, and it's so that good surroundings to grow up in. And I had a stable family, a younger brother, and my mother, she was working as some kind of social worker. My father was a teacher at, do you call it college? From when you are 16 to 19, high school or college. And there was a lot of reading in my home. They read for me because I was the only son until I was 8. And in those 8 years when I was the center of attention, they did a lot of reading for me. So that's probably where the joy of language and literature have originated, I would guess. I was very early keen on writing myself. I experimented with it, poems, and trying to write some theatrical play when I was maybe 14. And then I started writing on a regular basis when I was 17. I was an exchange student in France for 1 year. Kind of a lonely year. And I did a lot of reading and started writing a diary. And that became an obsession. So I wrote like 1 meter and 40 centimeters with with books and diaries during 4 years. And I really liked it, enjoyed it. Just this feeling of sitting alone and learning how to formulate myself, experimenting with the language and mastering, in a way, after a while, the language was a very satisfying experience. And it became very easy to write the first novel because I had written so much without really understanding that it was an exercise to write novels, but that's how it started. Today I think I know a little bit more about why I became a writer, but that's something I'm writing about now, and it's kind of a sensitive family story that I didn't discover until I was almost 30 years old. It's to do with the war and, one good side, one bad side, a lot of shame that was hidden. And I think I must have picked up some of that hidden trauma in my family. And that might have made me more sensitive to literature. But it was all on an unconscious level for many, many years. So I'm trying to write something about that sooner or later. Yeah, I've been very interested since I learned about this. I've been interested in European war history because it's so traumatic in so many levels, in so many countries, in different ways, in different countries, and it won't go away. And I think it will take another couple of generations before it's gone. And it's trust and it's betrayal and it's neighbors destroying each other on a national level and an international level and on a family level. So that's endlessly traumatic and endlessly fascinating. And I thought I was just being a spectator to this, and then I understood, no, I'm in the middle of it in my own family. And no one told me, and that's interesting.
In this third Doppler novel, you write about parenting and the distance that grows between parents and children as the years pass by. So, would you mind telling some family stories that illustrate the opposite?
That you don't grow apart, you mean? Oh, that's... Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. I mean, no, I think life is more complex than... You can do both. I mean, I have grown apart from my parents. I'm older, I can see more now, I understand more. They have to treat me like an adult. But at the same time, I still need them. I still like to come home to my mother and, you know, lie in her sofa and read and know that this is my mother's house, and it makes me comfortable to know that, you know, she's there and she's making food and helping. So that's, I think, family is such a complex organism. You know, you can hate. That's a very strong word, but you can hate and you can love at the same time. So it's not. I think it's very rarely one or the other. I think it's both at the same time. So you need them and you hate them, and you need them even more, and then you hate them even more. And that's probably something that comes with with closeness, and comes with affection, and comes with love. That it's complicated. So yeah, and that's beautiful in a way.
Have you seen any really good movie these days or lately?
Lately, I have seen good movies to answer that. But lately, yes, I think some of the Oscar contenders this year I really liked, like Moonlight. If that's, I don't know if it's been shown here, but it won the best movie. It's a story about a black boy growing up and discovering his, you know, homosexuality at the same time as he's being a very tough drug dealer. It's a very good movie. And I also think that La La Land is brilliant, actually. I think it's really, really brilliant, and really taking the musical genre that is often not very fresh anymore into some kind of new territory. It's both very, I've seen it a couple of times, and very emotional and very smart at the same time. That's very impressive. And another one I saw a couple of weeks ago was, it's a Argentinian or Spanish or both movie called The Citizen of Honor, something like that. I recommend it highly because it's so smart also and very well played. It's about a writer in his 60s, and he's receiving the Nobel Prize in the first scene, in the opening scene. And then we meet him 5 years later, and he's of course not been able to write anything after receiving this prize. And he all the time gets invitations to this university and this country and this and that. And he says no to everything until there is an invitation from his little village in Argentina. They want to make him an honorary citizen. And first he says, no, forget it. And then he says, okay, I'll do that. So we follow him home. And of course he has written about this village in every book. He left it as soon as he could. As a 20-year-old, he hated it. He hated everybody. And he's written about them, and he's really been, hard to them. And now they are going to make him an honorary citizen, and they really hate him too. So that's a beautiful, really beautiful and funny and brutal story. That's the best I've seen in a while.
What are the most influential movies for you?
A super big question. I think one of my all-time favorites, which I continue to see, and I think it's brilliant every time, is Milos Forman. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's probably one of the best movies ever made, I think. It's just so brilliant on the thematic level and on a personal and level with the actors that I connect so much with. So yeah, that's possibly quite near the top for me. But what I'm influenced by is that so much. I tend to like, simple things that you don't. That places the actors in a room together, and that's the magic in a way. I of course I like Star Wars, and I write, and I like a lot of things, but that's not what I'm drawn to as a writer. If I write myself, I want it to be simple actors connecting and telling a strong or fun story. So the simplicity of that, and also naked. I like if it's being very naked, like this Austrian, what's he called? Directors that dare to just put a camera like that and have a person and let 10 minutes go by, and it's magic, and doesn't have to be a lot of tempo or artificially spiced with anything. That's what I really like. Yeah. I was thinking of Haneke, Michael Haneke. He has made many movies, of course, but when I made a few years ago a television series, I wrote it with two of my colleagues at our common office. We made a 16 episodes kind of satire about Norwegian middle class people, and we used one of Michael Haneke's movies as some kind of paradigm for us, because he has in one of the movies, it's called 72 Fragments of something, I don't remember the title entirely. He has a scene where an old man is talking on the phone with his daughter, and you can see the television in the background, and it goes on for like 10-12 minutes, and they have a very problematic relationship, these two, and he's very sardonic about her. And 2 times he asks to talk with his granddaughter, and then he changes, then he's happy, and then her mother comes back, and he's back to this, and they hate each other, and that's so well done, and it's so simple, and that's the kind of filmmaking I really love, I think. Yeah.
You quite often mention Budapest in your novels, so I wonder. Excuse me.
Do I mention?
Yeah. You do, and so I just wonder, what do you think about this city, and what do you like about it, or what do you don't like?
Okay, I have only been here a few times, 3 or 4, maybe 5 times. I'm not aware of mentioning Budapest so often, but maybe I do. I'm of course influenced by the places I go to, and I sometimes use them, and I get ideas a lot when I'm traveling, so that might be it. But do you remember how I mentioned Budapest?
For example, in this new novel, there's some kind of cap or hat or something that Doppler bought in Budapest.
That's true. I bought a cap like that in Budapest. So that's the kind of direct influence. I bought a rabbit furs hat, for really cold winter outdoors skiing or whatever, and I use it when it's really cold, like 20 degrees below zero. Then I use it when skiing, etc. But in Norway now, it's not politically correct at all to have that kind of fur hat, and several times I've been asked to become a member or to front this. Some kind of animals liberation organization, and I every time tell them, yes, I support you, but I have this rabbit fur's hat. And like, I'm not going to get rid of it. I love it. And this rabbit's dead anyway, so what do you say? And I say, no, you cannot have that hat. And so it's become some kind of a symbol of something for me. So I like it. And the fact, it's a coincidence, but I bought it here. So that's why I mention it. It's not necessarily because of the city. If I bought it in Moscow, I would mention Moscow. So yeah.
Thank you very much.